The wind howled across the barren plains as Luke McAllister guided his tired horse toward the faint glow in the distance. Snow whipped at his face, his coat stiff with frost. He'd been riding for days, chasing cattle thieves who vanished into the wilderness. Now, with the storm worsening, all he wanted was a roof over his head for one night, someplace dry, warm, and still. His horse stumbled through the drifting snow until a wooden house appeared on the ridge, lantern light flickering through its frosted windows like a promise of mercy. When Luke reached the porch, he hesitated. The place looked too neat for an abandoned homestead. Smoke curled gently from the chimney, and he could hear faint laughter inside. He knocked, half expecting the door to stay closed. But it opened, revealing a young woman with chestnut hair and wary eyes. Behind her, two other women peeked curiously. "You look half frozen, mister," the eldest said softly. "Come in before you turn to ice." Luke hesitated, tipping his hat politely. "Just need shelter till the storm passes, ma'am." The three sisters exchanged quick glances before nodding. "We don't get many visitors out here," the youngest said, pulling him inside. The warmth hit him like a blessing. The cabin smelled of stew and wood smoke, clean and safe. The sisters introduced themselves, Abigail, the eldest, Clara, the clever middle one, and June, the youngest, with a mischievous grin. They'd been living alone since their father passed, keeping the ranch afloat on hard work and grit. Luke, exhausted, felt a strange peace settle in his chest. After supper, Luke offered to chop firewood as thanks. Abigail watched him from the doorway, her hands folded. "You don't have to," she said, voice soft. "You're a guest," he smiled faintly. "A man's got to earn his keep." The sound of his axe echoed through the cold night. When he returned, June was tuning an old fiddle, Clara sewing by the fire. The sisters' laughter filled the cabin, a melody he hadn't heard in years. For the first time in months, Luke forgot what loneliness felt like. Later that night, as the storm raged outside, the cabin lights dimmed. Luke spread his bedroll near the fire, trying to ignore the soft whispers behind the door where the sisters slept. He couldn't help but smile when June peeked out and offered him a quilt. "It gets cold round here," she said shyly. Her kindness stirred something deep within him, something long buried under dust and grief. "Thank you, miss," he whispered. She lingered a moment before closing the door, leaving him with warmth that wasn't just from the fire. Morning came golden and still. The storm had passed, leaving the world buried in white. Luke woke to the sound of Clara humming softly as she cooked breakfast. Abigail sat across from him, watching quietly. "You planning to move on today?" she asked. He nodded. "Got some rustlers to track." Her eyes softened. "Men who chase ghosts don't often find peace." Luke looked away. He hadn't told them about the outlaws who'd killed his brother months back. The trail had led nowhere, only emptiness. Before he could saddle his horse, June ran outside, breathless. "The bridge washed out last night. You'll never cross the creek till it melts." Luke frowned. He was trapped for now. "Then I'll earn my stay," he said. Over the next few days, he helped repair fences, fetched water, and fixed the barn roof. The sisters worked beside him with quiet determination. In the evenings, they talked, stories of childhood, loss, and laughter. Luke found himself smiling again, his heart thawing like spring snow under sunlight. One afternoon, a group of riders appeared on the horizon. Abigail stiffened immediately. "Those aren't neighbors." Luke's instincts flared. He recognized the brand on their saddles, the same gang he'd been hunting. "Stay in sight," he ordered. The sisters obeyed as he readied his rifle and took cover by the porch. The riders halted, their leader smirking. "Heard there's a stranger holed up here," the man sneered. "We came to collect." Luke's jaw tightened. "You'll have to go through me first." The shootout was fierce and fast. Gunfire cracked across the frozen land, echoing like thunder. Luke's aim was steady, honed by years of loss. One outlaw fell, another fled into the trees. The last lunged forward, but Clara fired from the doorway, her hands trembling yet sure. The man collapsed. When silence fell, Luke turned to see all three sisters staring at him. Abigail pale, June shaking, Clara clutching the smoking rifle. "You saved us," Abigail whispered. Luke shook his head. "No, you saved yourselves." They buried the bodies at dawn, snow crunching beneath their boots. The sun rose over the white fields, painting the horizon gold. Luke felt the weight of vengeance finally ease. His brother's death no longer burned, it simply rested. The sisters stood beside him, strong and unbroken. "You could stay," June said quietly. There's room here. We could use another pair of hands. Luke looked toward the mountains, then back at the warm faces around him. For the first time, the road ahead didn't call as loud. As days passed, Luke became part of their world. He repaired the old barn, mended fences, and helped tend to the horses. The ranch began to thrive again. The sisters teased him, fed him, laughed with him. Abigail's calm steadiness anchored him. Clara's wit challenged him. And June's innocent joy healed him. He realized that family wasn't always born of blood. It was built by love and shared storms. The loneliness that once haunted him had turned into something gentle, alive and enduring. One evening they gathered on the porch beneath a violet sky. Fireflies drifted lazily through the air. June played her fiddle while Clara hummed along. Luke sat beside Abigail, her shoulder brushing his. "You ever think of leaving again?" she asked softly. Luke gazed at the stars. Not anymore. The wind carried laughter across the field, mingling with the smell of wild sage. For the first time in years, Luke didn't feel like a wanderer. He felt like a man who'd found home. Spring came early that year. The creek thawed, wildflowers pushing through melting snow. Travelers who passed by the ranch often spoke of the man and 3 sisters who kept the land alive. Luke never bragged about his past or the gunfights he'd won. Instead, he taught the younger ranchers about patience and kindness. A good man, Abigail would say when others asked, just needed a place to rest his heart. And every night Luke thanked the storm that had led him there. Months later, a letter arrived, official, sealed with the sheriff's mark. The outlaws' leader had been captured down south. Justice was done. Luke stared at the paper for a long time before tossing it into the fire. Abigail watched the ashes drift upward. "So it's over?" she asked. He nodded. "It's over." They stood together by the window, the sun dipping low over their land. Peace had finally found him, not through revenge, but through love freely given. Years passed, and the ranch grew into one of the strongest in the valley. Travelers stopped by for food and shelter, welcomed like Luke once was. Abigail and Luke married quietly one spring morning, the sisters laughing as they decorated the porch with wildflowers. June kept her fiddle, Clara kept her books, and Luke kept his promise to never wander again. On quiet nights, he'd tell the story of how he just wanted a night's sleep and instead found 3 angels who changed everything. When old age came, the ranch still stood strong as the mountains behind it. Children played in the yard, their laughter echoing through the pines. Luke sat on the porch watching the sunset, his hand in Abigail's. The prairie stretched endlessly before them, golden and calm. "Guess I got more than one night's rest after all," he said softly. She smiled, leaning her head against his shoulder. The storm that once brought him to their door had long faded, but its gift had lasted a lifetime.